Hey guys, this year I am super stoked because I get to do the Moab Stage Race, and I wanted to do kind of a series into the race where I show my prep for the race, go over everything that I'm doing to prepare, and then in the race I'll give you a stage-by-stage recap of every day, how it went, and just what's been happening. Let's get chatting. If you haven't signed up yet, Moab Stage Race is May 1st through the 4th. If you're in the United States and you're looking for some real mountain bike racing, this is where it's at. I'll have a video camera on me while I'm racing. Fingers crossed it doesn't get lost somewhere on the trail. But I just kind of wanted to start the first video off with going over the first steps in preparation for this race. Okay, number one. The biggest one is just training. As a coach, people are like, what do you tell people the most? And it's really just consistency. So I wanted to go over real quickly what I've been doing through the base season in preparation for this event. So this is just the dashboard in Training Peaks, and the shaded area is just going to be what they indicate as fitness. The orange is your form, which is just going to be the counterpart of your fatigue, which is the pink. So this is when I took my off season in early October. I think I got sick around this time, so it was kind of forced off season, recovered, ready for the build for next year. You can see it's been pretty steady. This is only the last 180 days. You can kind of see these like weeks where I've, like push it, recover a little bit, push it, recover a little bit. And then last week actually for me was recovery week. And so now we're kind of getting into the intensity part of my training. The big thing is I've put years of volume in because I've raced Unbound for the past 4 or 5 years. But I think my biggest weakness is being able to pack enough intensity in before race season starts, especially because we start racing in April, and the first racing in April are a couple of my big events that I want to be prepared for. And Moab Rocks is going to be right after those. So I'm going to do a really nice intensity block after the space build. So as you can see here, just the duration per week. This average number right here is 17 and a half. This was our week in Tucson, which was 30 hours, 31 hours and 40 minutes on the bike. And then this past week, even though it was a transition into my build, it was still 21 hours. So now just to give you an idea, this is kind of what my schedule is going to look like going into Moab Rocks. Redlands and Sea Otter are going to be a big focus for me. We'll come home, probably jump in a few crits to get the legs jazzed up before Moab Rocks. I think we fly out the 28th, which is my mom's birthday and my boyfriend's birthday. And I'm actually also flying home from California on my birthday. So lots of birthday parties on the airplanes this year. Another thing I wanted to focus on is the difference between this year's training versus last year's training for me. Last year, I actually had a very similar race schedule. Okay, so this is we're just gonna check this out because I'm actually curious about this. So January 11th, I did a 3x12 minute threshold workout. I was putting out 274, 276, 277. It was surrounded by kind of like low zone 2, we'll say. And then the volume through January was all like around 20. There's one that's 26, 21, 20, 17, 18, 18. This week would have been 13, so I did more time this week than I did back then because I went to Mid-South and it ended up being a fire. Let's look at, this is like a fatigue test where you do front and back end intensity and you try to do a good chunk of work in the middle. Yeah, like 45 minutes at 230, not bad. Yeah, 40, 20s on each side. I did a very similar workout this week, like this one. Okay, so let's look at today. Remember I did 3x12 minutes, 274. So this year, tons of base. I tried this workout 4 times. The first time, actually, my power meter died and I just had to do it on heart rate, but I was pretty sure I was below the power. Second time, I hit the first 2 10-minute intervals, could not do the third interval, broke it up in 2 pieces, did 2x5 minutes at threshold. The last interval just could not even do threshold power, so I did tempo for 10 minutes. But I did 4 by 10 minutes and I held it all at about 282 to 285. Already seeing improvement with kind of where I'm at with that. And I think if you look through everything, the big difference so far, I put a lot more work into strength on the bike. So doing a lot more like lower cadence work because I could tell that my pedal stroke wasn't efficient. I did the same amount of gym work as I did last year, about maybe even a little bit less. And also this year I just got super OCD with the days in zone 2. A 4 hours endurance zone 2 ride. We'll analyze this. The end looks kind of scary. I don't know what I was doing there. 3.5 hours, 187. So that's within my zone 2. Another 3 hours of endurance the day before. You can see, even if we don't zoom in, it's a lot smoother. But if we were, for instance, to go back, we'll just click the same day. Okay, so this is 3 hours of zone 2. It does look pretty smooth. Actually, maybe not. We need to get rid of all this noise. So see how this power profile looks not as smooth as my power profile that I've been doing. Go big or go home here. 154. Okay, so last year I was doing 154 for 3 hours, normalized power. And this year I'm like 180 to 200 typically. Yeah, so this is the Tucson week, okay? I think one thing that's super important with training is constantly trying to find that line between overtraining yourself and creating enough stimulus for adaptation. When you're overtrained, it's more of a consistent day-to-day. You can push yourself where your body is really hurting for a couple days and then recover, and that's not really overtraining. It's more of a chronic fatigue that you're building, and then eventually your body just like isn't able to recover without you losing fitness to let your body recover. So one thing I noticed during this 30-hour week is I had already been on, the week in Tucson was my last week of the 3-week block. So I was already kind of running low on energy here. This threshold day, this was the 3rd time I tried this workout like I mentioned earlier. I just couldn't even do threshold in this week of my block because I was probably just cracked already. The block ended with 2 just like very intense days on the bike. We rode to a crit race 40 miles away, did the crit race, and rode back. But I noticed in that race, I could not put out any power, really. My sprint was not snappy, my sustained power for each lap was pretty low, and this is all relative to like what I think I can do. So if we zoom in, and then my heart rate is also like maxing out at like 170. So typically I would see this like near 180. Just can't get up that high because I'm just so fatigued. I was like normalizing 260. So typically in this type of crit race, I would normalize like 280. Creating this type of fatigue where you can't put out what you typically can is a success. So that's what I was looking for. This is also all very warm. So we have that aspect of heat training that we're doing right now because Moab is going to be warm. You need to be used to the dry heat. Tucson was perfect for that. Come back to Virginia, snow, it's very cold. So we got to start heat training. And I already had heat trained, I think a couple times before Tucson. So 3 times this week, it's typically what I'm aiming for. It's kind of the big prep for Moab with training. And then the second thing I'm doing is getting my bike ready. So we're gonna head downstairs and I'm gonna show you where my bike is now, and then we'll get it fixed up and the couple of things I'm gonna change, and you'll see it after I change those things. So this is my mountain bike, just raw off of last year. We got some recon races on it with my Gula wheels. Gula wheels are gonna stay. The recon races are gonna go. We got the power meter gonna stay, pedals gonna stay. I'm running a 34 chainring on the front and a 1052 on the back. That is gonna stay. That's always worked for me with a lot of stuff I've done. I've done the Kokopelli Trail, which goes into Moab, and I've actually gone down to Porcupine Rim, which is in the Moab Stage Race. I haven't ridden everything in the Moab Rock Stage Race, obviously, but I know what I'm up against. And so that's gonna help me so much when I'm preparing for this race while I'm in Roanoke, Virginia. Next things, dropper post, staying, Mimic Specialized seat, staying. I've notoriously hated the flat handlebars that have come on the Specialized bikes, and I've always changed them out for race face handlebars. Enjoyed that like higher raised handlebar, but I'm gonna change my handlebar this time. Changing the grips. I have my ESI grips. We're staying with ESI, but we're doing a different color. SRAM brakes staying. Fox 34 and Fox float suspension and fork are gonna stay. This year round, only running wax chains, so we're gonna keep that waxed. It's been drip wax in the past, so we're just gonna do just wax now. But yeah, I'm just super excited to do this video series and go over my preparation for Moab Rocks because I am so excited that they're having me. Ow, my legs.